Coming at you live from Arizona spring training. It's me, it's that guy, and this is the Blue Heaven Podcast. Man, my voice is still tore up. It's slightly on the mend, but maybe I'm just lying to myself. But what's going on, Dodgers Nation? My name is Clint. You can find me as RealFRG on Twitter and Instagram. That guy is DMac_LA on Twitter and Instagram, and he's got to do a lot of the talking today because, again, my throat is toe up. But how you doing, man?
Oh, my God, they killed Kenny and someone killed your voice. But I think you still sound great, Mr. Pasillas. But welcome to another show, guys. We're here live out in Arizona today. We actually had some live scrimmages, so a lot to get into. Thor faced hitters, Julio faced hitters. We'll talk about Bob Nightingale's comments on Julio Urias. Is he frustrated with LA? Will that be a factor in determining where he ends up long term? Lots to get into. We're going to dive into Trayce Thompson as well. Doc had some very interesting things to say about Trayce Thompson and his possible role for this team. But, yeah, what were your thoughts on that?
Well, I want to dive into that a bit later.
Let's go into that later.
Yeah, a bit later. But I maybe I have a take on Trayce and kind of what I'm reading from Dave. That isn't popular or a popular opinion, and maybe I'm just way off base. It's a strong likelihood that I'm way off base. But first, we want to remind you again, this is a live stream, so drop into them comments. Let us know where you guys are representing Dodgers Nation tonight. Yes, this is night 3 in a row of Blue Heaven shows, and hopefully by the time we're back, we're going to not be live on Friday night because me and the boys, we got to party a little bit. But hopefully my voice will be back by Saturday when we go live. So I apologize for the way I sound. Trust me, it's very frustrating. But let's dig into some of the comments here. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us on YouTube. Doom Sal's checking in, says, good evening, Dodgers Nation. Christopher D says, let's go Dodgers. Craig Osterberg checking in from the 310. He asked, any rain? No, we don't have any rain out here. It was windy as hell on Wednesday. Beautiful day here in Glendale, Arizona on Thursday. Joseph, the 707, North Bay. Dave Luna said he saw Trayce Thompson on the title, thought he got traded. Nah, he's going to get some opportunities here in spring training, as Dave said. But I'm kind of, I don't know about concerned. I don't think his job is as secure as some people might think. Craig is giving me some advice, giving me some help. This is gargle with salt water and drink lemon and honey. Dave Luna says hook Clint up with some Stephen Hawking text-to-speech. Hey, I'm down for that right now. It's been a struggle. You know, I need these boys in the damn studio here to calm it down with all the crap talking, because I want to chip in to the running gags we have going here, because as Doug McCain here will attest to, I could crank it about 10% higher than the worst these guys can do. So we have a lot of fun entertaining each other and ourselves with problematic statements. Not really. We're very good people, honest Christian boys, plus whatever. Noah is. We love Noah. He's a nice boy. Hi, Noah. Hi. Brandon is checking in from Austin, Texas. We got 909. We got 805. We got the 832. We got the 559. But that's enough of me talking. You talk about that practice scrimmage game. Hey, sort of real baseball, but not real baseball happened at Camelback today.
Yeah, not real baseball, but still competitive at-bats. And I think you consider some of the at-bats quality and really the pitchers. Really the first thing that stood out to me was Noah Syndergaard out there on the mound. He faced 7 batters, got 6 outs, and that was his first game action with the Dodgers. So really to see him out there in the presence and him putting all of these mechanical adjustments that he's been working on into place, seeing it click, as he said to reporters after the game, I think he has some positive momentum moving forward. Austin Barnes, you heard him talk in the clubhouse. He didn't look at the velocity, but that mitt was popping pretty loudly. Does have that big extension towards the plate, so it does play up. And yeah, I thought he was pretty impressive. He threw 26 pitches, had 3 strikeouts, allowed just 1 base runner on that Max Muncie single. Probably the best at bat was Max Muncie. Hit the ball hard. He yelled something about getting that hit because there wasn't the shift in play, so he was excited about that. We talked to Muncie after. So really, the first big takeaway has to do with Noah Syndergaard. What are your thoughts on his action today, Clint?
Well, I saw him in the bullpen. You guys will see some of the clips going up on all of our social media stuff. So if you didn't see it yet, follow us at Dodgers Nation on all the things. Instagram, we're posting clips. Twitter, we're posting clips. Facebook, we're posting clips. Make sure you're following us, youtube.com/Dodgers Nation TV. Subscribe, hit the like, leave a comment, tell your grandma's uncle we're here. We're going hard all season long, having a good time. But I was watching him in the bullpen before. I got some nice footage of that ball. He's got some good two-seam run going, but he looked how do you call it, dominant, strong and dominant, or whatever it is. I don't know. He described himself in a weird way. Got an article coming out about it right now, written by our No Cameras on DodgersNation.com. He looked like you would expect for it being a week into spring training. Pitchers are way ahead of the hitters right now, and he took advantage of that.
Yeah, and when you go out
kind of facing the B squad in a way too.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't facing the meat of the lineup and guys trying to actually win games or score runs. But I think for him getting back out there on the mound, last year was his first return after the Tommy John surgery. Still pitched over 130 innings. But a couple of things that stand out for me with Noah Syndergaard, he's the first guy out there in the morning. He's the first guy out there putting in work before any of the pitchers. Clayton Kershaw maybe beats him by like a couple of minutes, but he's out there doing work. And I think the thing with him, he mentioned his two-seam fastball. When he was at his peak, he was throwing that four-seam fastball, 98.7 miles per hour back in 2016. He doesn't need to be that guy at this stage of his career. I think you ditch some of that four-seam fastball in favor for the two-seam. The sinker gets some more ground ball outs. His command has been pristine really throughout his career. It was great last year. It's just a matter of really reinventing himself and being more of an outscatter. And I think you look at Clayton Kershaw and you say to yourself, Kershaw is a guy who was always locating that 94, 95, 96 mile per hour fastball during his heyday. That number is already down to 90.7 miles per hour, but he's locating it and he throws that slider. So I think Syndergaard should have some conversations with Kershaw about reinventing himself and really reestablishing himself as one of the better pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. But you can see him certainly just enjoying this process and trying to get back to where he was, and you can feel the belief. I mean, when he told reporters after he was signed that he'd get back to 99, by his presence and just the feel of this guy that he truly believes that.
Yeah, and with this Dodger club, this pitching unit, this pitching the coaching staff, the guru of staffs, staff guru, whatever. You guys know what the hell I'm trying to say. This team, the coaching staff, just say it. They can figure out how to bring out the best of somebody that already has the talent, and that's what it was. We've seen it. We've seen Noah Syndergaard be at his best before, be one of the top pitchers in baseball. They can get that back, and like you mentioned, being that much further removed from the elbow surgery, there's a lot to be positive about. And this is not a dude who needs to be throwing number one, number two in your rotation. That makes it a lot better, but voice is annoying. Moving on, let's talk about Julio on the other side. I would say Julio Urias looked better than Syndergaard on the bump. Also got some video up on our social media of Julio. What were your takeaways on Julio? I mean, he looked nasty, and he was facing, Mookie? He's facing Freddie.
Yeah.
He's facing Will Smith, and he looked pretty damn dominant.
Julio was sharp out there. There's no question about it. 8 outs on just 20 pitches, so he was efficient out there. He struck out 3 consecutive batters there in the second inning. And, yeah, you could see he's just so comfortable, so poised. And I think at this point of his career, he's just going out there and playing his game the way he does it. And he just trusts his stuff, and he's such a competitor out there that he knows that he's facing the better hitters in the Dodgers lineup. And he takes a lot of pride in going out there and performing the way he does. Also, he knows what's at stake for himself this year. But, yeah, he's a guy that when you really see up close and personal, you see that this is a true pitcher and not a thrower. The way he commands the strike zone, the way he trusts his stuff and goes out there and just attacks hitters he always is dictating the action out there. And that is something that you really appreciate and you marvel at when you watch Julio Urias out there. And, yeah, I mean, he's just so comfortable, and you can just tell that he's primed to have a great season.
Yeah, and like you're talking about, he's somebody who looks comfortable. This is – he's had back-to-back years of being one of the top pitchers in baseball, even though the recognition around the league won't show that. No all-star selections. He got a little bit of love in the Cy Young voting. But, this is a dude, he didn't come into camp trying to be in the best shape of his life. You know, like I said last night, the panza's hanging a little bit. He's feeling good. He ate healthy this offseason because he knows exactly what he needs to do. He knows exactly who he is, what his body is, what that left arm needs to do, to be ready to strike out or get outs at the major league level. I think, he's had a back-to-back really good years. This year could be some of the best Julio we've ever seen in our lives. We got some really good content coming from for you guys on the YouTube channel. This guy talked to Miguel Rojas, one of the guys we talked to today, and we asked, we asked Mickey about Julio and his growth and what he's seen. Kind of didn't really think about it, but Rojas was here in LA at the time that Julio was sort of making his way through the minor leagues and all, establishing himself as one of the top minor league pitchers at that time. And, Miguel was talking about, like, the growth, the maturity, like, almost saying the same thing. Like, this is a guy who knows exactly who he is at this point in his career, and he knows, like you mentioned, what's coming next, cha-ching, a lot of money, which I guess takes us to the Bob Nightingale thing. So Nightingale, we haven't talked about it here on the podcast. We wrote about it on the website over the weekend, but Bob Nightingale kind of had a little bit of a throwaway blurb in one of his recent columns where he's talking about, I guess he spoke with some friends close to Julio who say he's kind of over LA because of the way they treated him, more so not letting him go out and throw 1,000 innings while still being young, and then also later coming off of shoulder surgery. But give us some thoughts. Is smoke, no smoke? What do you think of all this?
I think it's no smoke from the standpoint that because he is pitching less innings on the Dodgers, that means that he doesn't want to re-sign with the Dodgers or be a part of this team long term. I think that Scott Boras is a guy that gets his clients 20% more than what they're worth on average, and he's putting in work already. And if you're a team out there that's saying, you look at Julio Urias' innings count, you look at the fact he hasn't made an all-star team, well, his defense of that is going to be, the Dodgers didn't pitch him enough. The Dodgers didn't allow him to go deeper into games that he was capable of going deeper into. Last season, averaged 5.2 innings per start. We know that Julio, every now and then we saw a couple years ago struggle in the first inning at times, and sometimes that would get his pitch count up, and that would impact that. But look, I don't think there's any doubters out there that know how good of a pitcher he is. And I think that, is it something that has hurt him from postseason awards and accolades? Yeah, I think there is a chance. I think if Julio Urias was pitching for a different franchise, he might have a Cy Young Award. He might have a few all-star appearances under his belt. But look, if you're Julio, you say to yourself, wait a second. If I pitch for the Dodgers and they are the team that offers me the most money, you're telling me I'm earning more money to pitch less. That sounds like a good deal, right? I mean, that sounds like, a something that he would like. But I think that at the end of the day, this is nothing. I think that what it comes down to is it's a Scott Boras client. As long as you get a team in a city that he's semi-interested in, as long as they meet his price at the end of the day and pay him the most amount of money, that is most likely where he's going to sign. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, then Scott Boras is a guy who plays a big role in that for sure. But I'm sure we'll deep dive more into Julio as the season comes along. This guy loves going the deep dives. What do you got?
Well, one thing I want to say, too, is I think we're going to have a Julio Urias Gold Glove season because you see that those cat-like reflexes today on that Austin Barnes comebacker with the 2 strikes. So, I think that's another thing, too. But, I don't know, what's your take on that? I mean, do you think that his love for Los Angeles, his connection with this city. I remember asking him at FanFest about that, and he spoke very highly of this city and the connection that he has with the city. He knows it. He knows that he's the indelible image of the 2020 World Series. He's the guy that put this team on his back. Out of the pen, he was fantastic, didn't allow a run out of that Dodgers bullpen. He came through in the NLCS. Yeah. He came through in the World Series, striking out Willie Adames, and that pitch was up to 97 miles per hour, right? I mean, he was dealing during that series, and he also sees the murals around town. He knows that, look, I mean, Kershaw Day has always been a thing, but Urias Day is definitely a thing, too. And the Urias is a guy that has a connection with this city. But look, I mean, it's a lot of money, and the Dodgers, they just have not paid up on some of these long-term guys for that on those kind of contracts. So that just remains to be seen. But I think that if you're a Dodger fan out there that's saying, I mean, we've had this conversation about Julio, will he get $200 million? Will he get $280 million? A lot is riding on the season, how much success he has. Does he stay healthy? Is he continuing to be effective? And I think one thing I want to see from Julio this year is we saw him put this team on his back out of the bullpen through the postseason. If he does that as a starter, and let's say he has a Steven Strasburg type year like in 2019 where he was dealing, then I say, hey, we can talk about $250+ million. And you look at his age, I think this is one of those exceptions for the Dodgers that they look at not only how good of a pitcher he is, but what he means to this team and this community. And I think that's something they would consider. So I think there is a chance to go long-term for him.
Yeah, there's absolutely the LA play. And I would say if any pitcher or any Boris client really would step in and be like, no, I don't care about all that. This is where I want to be. I think it's Julio. I think he would consider that more. I mean, he doesn't want to go pitch in Texas. He doesn't want to go pitch for the Kansas City Royals, even though they're not going to pay enough money for that. I don't think Julio wants to be on the East Coast. He's a happy boy here. Keep him home in LA. I think there's a very strong, even if he has a great year or a mid-year or whatever it is, there's a strong likelihood he wants to stay in LA, and they can figure something out where it's not top dollar, but it's just a hair under. We've seen this team pay their left-handed aces before. We saw the money go to Kershaw. They were in on Greinke when he left up until the Diamondbacks upped it by 1 year, and Zach said the whole time he's going to go to wherever the money is, but they were right in there on that, and they've been in. They were in on Garrett Cole to a point. They're in on everybody. But everybody usually will go where all the money is. I think Julio's one guy who's willing to take that step back to stay in the more comfortable situation. Good comments here. People loving the voice. Again, sorry, guys, my voice is very blown. Phlegm leads to hacking up a lung, leads to everything. Huh? It's my Jordan game. I was literally thinking about that.
You beat Jordan, I'll be Scottie Pippen. We'll walk off out of the kitchen. You lean on my shoulder.
Yeah, I got that dog in me.
Yeah, you got that.
I shouldn't do that. That doesn't help. I went and spent like $40.
You got that sick like a dog.
I'm even sick. Like I mean, I got these.
Oh yeah, you're really
guns.
not sick. Yeah, you're not sick. Yeah,
I feel good. I mean, somebody should put me down either way. But
hey.
Will W says thinks Julio's gonna chase the money. Kevin Yuha says give Julio the bank. Bruce Davis says Julio is ace, Kershaw is legend. I like that point. Seth Gribble says, if I've never heard the words Bob, I make up stories because my agents pay me to. Nightingale. If you never hears another one of those stories, you can die happy with the clown emoji. We love good clown emojis around here. Bob Nightingale. He loves spinning a good yarn. You know, he's a nice boy, friend of the show.
No, I love man. Like he's Boob, right? He's Bob Nightingale. He's a legend, but you always have to take it with a grain of salt, the size of the rock of Gibraltar, right? But it's still. I mean, look, it's plausible. I mean, look, if you're Julio Urias, and let's say he was frustrated, which I don't believe he is. I mean, some of my observations of Julio in that Dodgers clubhouse is he really carries himself like a made man. And he's so comfortable in that Dodger blue. And I think you bring up a great point is if you can get close and he wants to stay in L.A., then I think he re-signs with the Dodgers. Because let's not forget that Scott Boras is someone that he hires, right? Mm-hmm. It's not the other way around. Scott Boras works for him. We saw with Altuve a few years ago when he wanted the extension because of how much he likes staying in Houston. I mean, if you want to stay with the team, you can work some things out. It's just really a matter of finding a way to get close. And I think with Clayton Kershaw, if this is his last year with the Dodgers, you need another lefty starter. We know those don't grow on trees. We know that how premium that is. So, yeah, I hope he stays with the Dodgers. But another factor I think you have to bring up, too, is if Shohei Ohtani is seriously considering signing with this team, what are the Dodgers going to spend $500-600 million on Ohtani and then $250 million on Julio Urias? I mean, ticket prices, parking, micheladas. I mean, that is going to go through the roof, $1,000 micheladas. So, I mean, for the fan, like, I'm going to be watching on TV anyway and going in free, so I'm not really worried about that.
Yeah,
but
you don't pay for tickets no more, bud.
Still, I mean, that's kind of something to consider too. Is how much the Dodgers, how big of a bag are they going to give to both those guys? But yeah, I do think that Julio is a guy that makes sense for LA, and I think he should be one of their top priorities. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine him in another team's uniform, considering that he was a top prospect. I mean, They went down there for Puig, and of
Yeah.
course you find Julio, and it's really one of those stories. But it's not like, oh, the Dodgers. Look, I mean, if he was with the Marlins, it's not like he would have 113 complete games like Fernando Valenzuela, right? I mean, that's just the nature of Major League Baseball. The Dodgers aren't the only team that is very careful with their starters. They're trying to manage the arm and prevent injuries. Let's not forget, he had a serious shoulder injury a few years back, which he's completely recovered from, and you want to avoid things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Again, we could talk about Julio for 9 hours and have a good time, but
Never 9-hour show.
this guy really is. If I did it, I would not make it, and I would just be like full-blown robot voice. But let's move on a little bit. You got a lot of really good stuff in the clubhouse today. Content for days coming out, DodgersNation.com, YouTube.com/DodgersNationTV. All the spots, we're going to have all the content in the world, but chatted with Miggy Rowe today. You got Miguel Vargas. You got Diego Cartaya coming in trying to crash his interview. Really good time. You guys are going to enjoy that one. Talked to Jason Hayward. That's kind of been your guy. We got him first, his first appearance at Dodger Stadium. You got him wearing the ugly Jim Beam sweater, which was an ugly, beautiful sweater, by the way. Thank you, Jim Beam. And now you got him here on the eve of games and all that kind of stuff. More stuff with friend of the show, Max Muncie. I know you wanted to talk a little bit about the Hayward stuff. You know, he chatted about his connection to Freddie Freeman and adjusting to where he's at, but it's still very early to know what the Jason Hayward experience is going to look like.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway was asking what's the key for him to having success this year in the box and really being able to avoid those slumps that he had last year. And he really said being manageable and finding a way to make those adjustments quickly, because last year that was the issue. When he struggled mightily and just wasn't able to get his way out of it. But I think what you've seen early from him during spring training is his improved ability to get his bat to the ball, and that's going to help him avoid those slumps. So that's really the key for him. It's just being able to be a consistent hitter, because, look, Cody Bellinger, he set the bar very low in center field as far as offensive production. So if you can get anywhere close to being a league average hitter, he's a 5-time Gold Glove Award winner that can provide a lot. And Mookie was on he talked to Yonder too, and Yonder – who we talked to, we'll drop that as well. And Mookie said, I got my guy J.D. Martinez back, my friend, and we know that J.D. Martinez isn't going anywhere. And he also said that Freddie Freeman got his friend back in Hayward. So that kind of tells me thinks that he's going to be on that Dodgers team, because I don't think Freddie Freeman would be very happy to have the guy whose locker is right next to him empty with Hayward not there. So we kind of talked about it a little bit last night about kind of catering to their superstars. But, other takeaways too, I thought it was interesting to talk about the culture of the Dodgers clubhouse and how there's a lot of guys that are around the same age, a lot of champions, a lot of all-stars, and then you have that mix of the young talent. It's kind of re-energizing these guys and giving them a boost.
Yeah, no, there's some really good stuff in that interview. Again, that one's up on our YouTube channel right now. If you guys haven't seen it, go see it. But not right now. We're still live. He's a veteran. He's been through a lot. World Series champion, all-star. Even at only 33, he feels like a very old 33, because he came into this league as a 20-year-old with Freddie Freeman. But it's a good assessment of the clubhouse. You know, there's a lot of bling, there's a lot of accolades in there, but there's also a lot of youth, and this is youth that, I don't know, the clubhouse feels different than, like you mentioned, last year and years past where I've been in there. It's a loose clubhouse. It is early in spring training, but I think a lot of this younger core of players have all been playing together for so long that they just immediately feel comfortable. Like seeing Diego Cartaya run around the clubhouse and having fun with his very good friend Miguel Vargas is fun to see, and it's encouraging for Dodger fans to know that the veterans are very welcoming of this next. They're not worried about their jobs. They all want to try to win together, and that's what it's going to take. It's not about 25 men, it's 26 men now. It's not about the 40-man roster. It's about like all 70 players in that locker room, all the way down to Nick Nastrini wearing number 96 or whatever number he's wearing in that clubhouse. You got Max Muncie, really good stuff from Muncie. He ditched the toe tap. That was something we got out on the site today. Looked good. He's the only guy who actually got a base hit. Thankfully, no shift for him. But Miguel Rojas he's gonna be very clutch for this team. Just talking to him, the presence that he
Yeah,
has,
really.
what he cares, and another one. I think if he can hit and he can field and he can stay healthy, like just a little bit, everybody's really gonna love Miguel Vargas. You talked to him a bit at FanFest, and now you had more of some one-on-one time with Miguel Vargas. Tell the fine folks a bit about Miguel Vargas and what they expect with your chat coming up.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway from today defensively was the play he made on the
Best
Miguel
play
Rojas
of the
play of the
season.
game. Yeah, play of the season. Play of the season. We played one scrimmage with 2 innings. Yeah, but no, I think that what really stands out is he truly does feel comfortable playing that second base position. Hasn't played an inning of it for his entire career. But what I asked him was, what did you learn from Miguel Rojas? A lot of people know that he helped him, but what specifically did he help him with? And it was the placement of his feet, his glove placement, where his legs are, keeping his legs active. And you saw the jump he got on that contact from Rojas. He was right there, and he still had to dive for it. So you see his instincts are getting quicker, and I think what people are going to be surprised about is, he's a great hitter, but the athleticism that he has defensively and the range that he has, too. I think he can range that position well, and I think that it really is great timing for this Dodgers team to start this new era as far as defense up the middle, because you do have the restriction on the shift, and you do need guys that have some range. They're younger, more athletic, and that's what Vargas and Lux are. And I asked Vargas, too, about the chemistry with Lux and how special that's going to be to really start this new era, this new chapter with a guy you've known for so long. And, yeah, he has a really strong relationship with Lux as well. But Miguel Vargas is the thing. I mean, he has raked at every single level. He only hit under 300 once, and it was high 290s back in 2019. He has bat-to-ball skills that are well beyond his years. His instincts, his feel for the game is something that's very impressive as well. And if he can hit at the big league level, if he can replicate that, you'll just take even an average Miguel Vargas at second base. So it's just about finding a role for him, because we talked to Muncie, like you mentioned just now, that he feels very comfortable. I asked Muncie, I mean, is this the spot where you feel comfortable at? And I think that's doesn't really get talked about enough, is the fact that he feels comfortable at third base, even though despite being a Gold Glove caliber first baseman in 2021, sliding over to second when Trey Turner was there, now he feels comfortable at third. So I think this infield is really figuring itself out, and Miguel Vargas is a big reason why.
We aren't playing games yet. We're not even playing real fake games yet, but it's a group that an infield core that looks already pretty comfortable with one another, talking to each other. Dino is out there. You guys heard Dino at third base as the third base coach, hollering at these guys, talking about being on the dirt, where to be even without the shift. He was yelling at Michael Bush, who was playing second base for I guess the syndergaard group, and Bush was kind of back deeper on the grass instead of on the dirt. And he said, no, you come in on the dirt, you don't give them an inch. You don't give them an inch. And they're going to have that bulldog mentality, I think, on defense right now. Just drive that mentality home right now is the time you want to do it. But fun stuff to watch, even if it's just a scrimmage. It's really fun stuff to watch. Everybody's really invested in what's going on. Even some of the fans that were there. I mean, the fans aren't out in full force yet. It's very early in spring training. Games start happening. You're going to get a lot more people in here. But to get to a few of the comments here, Seth Gribble says it was good to see Jay Hay open up. Sarah Morris asking if we saw Kershaw. We did see Kershaw. He was in town yesterday. I didn't see him today. I didn't. Yeah, I think he had something else going on, but he was in town yesterday for the photo shoot day. Dave Roberts mentioned that he's going to kind of step back a little bit since he's not going to be pitching for the for Team USA and World Baseball Classic. There's no reason for him to try to ramp up right now. They don't need to worry about Kershaw on opening day, on game 2. They don't need to worry about that. They need to worry about Clayton Kershaw in September and October. Andre Medina asking, where did you guys go for dinner last night? Took the boys to Yard House. Shout out Cody for suggesting Yard House. It was not Denny's. That's the important thing. It was not Denny's. So
Two and a half
you
beers.
guys.
2.5 beers, guys.
This guy was loaded out of his gourd.
I'm hungover, man. This is a.
Let's see. Get into. I see.
What else we got?
I see a huge one here. Shout out, super chat, Lori O, 1999. We appreciate that. Says Clint and Miggy V already playing hurt in spring training. Love it. That's what's up. That's
He's a
what's
gamer,
in.
okay? We know
Gamer. This is every word is very painful right now, but I'm doing it for you guys to suffer through this pain and noise along with me. Let's see. Do we think the Dodgers will do better than the Cubs? 100%. Cubs, I don't even know if they're an intriguing club. They have pieces, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean,
they have a few cast-offs from the Dodgers that aren't going to equal very much over there. I mean, I really hope Cody does better in Chicago. But
you got
still.
Dansby. No, but yeah, I'm not. Absolutely, the Dodgers are going to do better than the Cubs here. Let's keep it short.
Gregory
For
asking,
sure.
when do you guys see Bobby Miller coming up and playing for the Dodgers? Give him some Bobby Miller.
I talked to Doc
Miller
today
Nation.
about Bobby Miller, and he basically said that the ball really is in his court, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's all about Bobby Miller and really improving that command. I mean, you're going to see him get starts during spring training. He mentioned that he's going to get starts this season. He kind of slipped that in there. So he will be making his debut this year. It's just not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And when I talked to Bobby Miller a few days ago, he said, of course, he wants to make it to the show, but it seems like he doesn't want to be one of those guys that gets optioned down and becomes the Mitch White or the Ryan Pepio, guys that get those frequent flyer miles going from LA to OKC for wherever it may be. He wants to be a guy that comes up and sticks and has a role, but really what you have to focus on, Bobby Miller, is the command on that fastball, and that is going to allow it to play up even more, miss more bats, because we know it's a great pitch, but he has an arsenal of pitches, and he's not quite there yet, but I think just a little more seasoning, he's going to be ready to go, and I think this is the right year for him. I think last year he would have been rushed through. This year, he's in a position where you can tell that he's just knocking on the door. It's just about opening that door and just making his presence felt. He doesn't want to rent that house. He wants to buy that house, live there, stay at the big league level, and have a big impact. I know some people out there saying trade bait. Someone asked me, would I trade him for Shohei Ohtani? I mean, I'd trade my family for Shohei Ohtani. So, look, I mean, I'm not the right guy to ask for that. But, like I said, he's a very untradeable guy because he truly has the potential to be a top flight starter with the stuff that plays up in the postseason. And when you're on the Dodgers, you will be in the postseason. So he's a guy you hold on to unless it's a elite player. Pretty much Shohei Ohtani or nothing, things like that.
Yeah, postseason, you got to have that panache. You got to have that dog, and you got to have that character. And he is somebody who can carry himself on the mound. You mentioned Dave Roberts. I'm going to get into that in a second, but we got a few comments. I like the comments last night. Seth Gribble bringing it back up here a little bit. People seem to think that Bobby Miller's kind of just stoned out of his gourd. Bobby Miller's the new Cody Bellinger. I don't think that's just him. It just feels like that's just him. I don't think he's baked in Major League Clubhouse for the first time in his life. Yeah. Laser focus.
He's Bobby Chiller, man. He's a vibe. He's just super
chill.
Vibes. He's just a vibe, and he's very monotone.
Bobby
like you said.
vibes. There's the shirt.
But yeah, no. He ain't baked Bobby, okay?
He's
Let's
not
put it
big,
that way.
but Trayce Hayward, season 2022, checking into the stream. First time making it to a stream for a while. Appreciate you hanging out with us. As always, Sarah Morris saying the Cubs are boring. I fully agree with that one. Francisco, friend of the show here, saying, did somebody already say fire Dave Roberts? Because if not, then fire Dave Roberts. Hey, best fans in the business. This is family. About that family.
Family, man.
Appreciate you guys. Really love
when
you
you're
guys.
Here, your family.
When you're here,
I made up that line.
Your family. But let's talk about Dave. You were there at the Roberts scrum for the day. Once again, he was asked about Trayce Thompson. To me, I haven't heard incredibly high words of encouragement out of Dave Roberts about Trayce Thompson. Since the end of last season, he's been asked. There's been different stories, different quotes, different mentions out of Dave's mouth about Trayce Thompson, and I don't think he's fully bought in on last year not being an anomaly, and Dave likes to really point out that the reverse splits did not hit left-handed pitching well at all. Andrew Friedman talked about like we did not expect him to be around. They pretty much expected him to be the guy that the Dodgers love. He's going to be here for a week or two, and then he gone. But he hit his way to stay on this club. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Trayce Thompson stock is slipping a little bit. We have a clip that we're going to play right now from Dave's press conference today, and then we'll dive into more thoughts on Trayce Thompson, Dave Robertson, all that kind of role in future.
Just something that always just striving to just continue to get better. And I can't speak right now what the role is going to look like on opening day, what it's going to look like in the middle of the season. So I think that kind of speaks to obviously opportunity, performance, but we're going to need them. And so I'm not going to talk about exact roles right now.
We're back. So Dave's not committing to a role. Earlier in the offseason or earlier in spring training, he's been asked a few times about Trayce, and he kind of mentioned, again, the reverse splits, the inability to kind of hit left last year, and it's clear that this team needs somebody to hit left. I mean, they have J.D. Martinez, which in my opinion, my feeling, kind of hurts Trayce Thompson more than it helps. But Dave mentioned like opportunity, but very, very non-committal to the kid. What are your thoughts on Trayce Thompson and what his status might be for the club right now?
Yeah, first thing I want to say is you're really great at that. You're really perceptive in reading Doc's comments.
You're between the lines.
You read right between
those. I know
those,
Doc 101.
You're fluent in Doc, right? You speak Doc like it's a second language to you. And I think that he was non-committal, and they are kind of leaving things out in the open. I remember maybe last week when they asked him about him playing in the WBC, and Doc's response was you wanted to see him get more at-bats and continue to work. And, look, of course, if someone go plays for their country, you got to honor and respect that.
Yeah, but he would like to get more eyes on him.
Yeah, and if you're Trayce Thompson, this is really the opportunity of a lifetime, because the reality is, like you mentioned, it's been well documented about his reverse splits. You thought when they brought in Trayce Thompson, at the very least, he would rake against lefties, but he was bad. He was below league average, and he struggled mightily. And I think they talked about it today, and Dave said one of the reasons was the angles from the lefties, kind of his setup a little bit, and trying to make some adjustments. But look, the reality is he's going to get an opportunity. If he is able to have success at the plate, he will continue to play that position, because defensively he can get it done. There's no question about that. I don't think he's going to win the Gold Glove out there, but he can get it done. He did hit for some power last year. He had 13 home runs, and he was fantastic at times, but to me it almost feels like it's summer lovin'. And last year they had a nice summer fling. The Dodgers and Trayce Thompson was a great story. You're not going to put a ring on the summer lovin' player, right? I mean, you really need to kind of know when to walk away. And I think there is a chance he could go back to being Clay's brother instead of Trayce Thompson at some point. But I think the beautiful thing for Trayce Thompson, though, is that he is going to get a true opportunity.
Yes.
It's not like he's going to go out there and go 0 for 2 one day and be like, okay, DFA Trayce Thompson, he's done, or wherever it may be. They are going to give him a nice opportunity to go out there and compete for this position. And if he can prove he can hit, he's going to stay in this lineup.
He's earned the opportunity. He has the first crack at a roster spot. You want him. We want him to be good, because a team with a good Trayce Thompson is that much better. But the track record is so rocky with this guy. It's hard to be like, yeah, this is going to be, the dude we're riding with, we're rocking with, heading into a season where we lost a number of dudes coming off 111 win season, blah, blah, blah. You don't want to go into the season like, well, you were good last year, so like we feel you deserve this, even though maybe you haven't earned it or whatever it is. He's going to get that opportunity. It's well deserved, but I don't know how long that leash is going to be, particularly in spring training. Again, Dave on the opportunities, the way Dave has kind of talked about Jason Hayward. You mentioned the Hayward-Freeman connection. They really want Jason Hayward there. And sure, one bat's left, one bat's right, but one's a veteran, one's won a championship at this level in this fine game. And I think if it's push come to shove, they might go Hayward over Thompson just for, I guess, the shits and giggles of it, and the fact that he does have a ring. Somebody put that ring on it.
I mean, yeah, I think the thing is, though, and I agree with you 100%, that if Hayward can show that he's competent at the plate, he's going to be in there. There's no question about it. But I think that's a major question. That is a big if because, look, Trayce Thompson, a 145 OPS plus. I mean, those are impressive numbers in his opportunities. He's a guy last year that he punished mistakes, and that is what he did. He does have a long swing at times. I mean, his strikeout rate last season at 36.5%. Everyone wants to talk about Chris Taylor's strikeout rate. Trayce Thompson was higher.
Yeah.
If you look at his BABIP, his 374 BABIP was the second highest for players with a minimum of 200 at-bats. So, look, I bring my facts to the fight, and the facts indicate that he's due for some serious regression, but I'm hoping that he put in the work this offseason. I'm hoping that they fine-tune some things that will allow him to have success because it is a great story. I mean, he's a great guy. He's really beloved in that clubhouse. Yeah. And I think that, look, I mean, we would love for Trayce Thompson to have success, but there's some stiff competition. We haven't even mentioned James Outman, too, who's another guy as well.
Yeah, you really haven't seen – we see him walking around, but you haven't seen or heard very much about James Outman. It feels like he's going to start the year at AAA. I think that's already a foregone conclusion in the front office's mind. Trayce is a likable guy, but he's also very quiet. He's very reserved. Like, you see him walking around. He's not really with other people on the team. He's very in his own pocket universe, but that's just by design with him. He is a very private guy. He doesn't have social media. There's a lot of searches online about, like, does Trayce Thompson have a girlfriend? What's the deal? Like, somebody posted a picture. He posted a picture, like, holding a baby one time, and there's, like, 3 different forums trying to figure out if he has a kid and whatever. He's dark and mysterious fellow, and people want to know more about him, but he doesn't want people to know about his stuff. But we want to know if he's going to be on the roster for opening day or not. Hey, what a bad transition. Speaking of transitions, comments. Super chats. What the hell?
Oh my goodness.
Let's just like take a minute here.
Standing ovation. Give it up for you guys.
Hall of Famers here. All right, guys. MH again in the stream with the super chat. We can't tell you how much we love you. MH Dodger for $99 again, $100.
$100. Clint, D-Mac, Get Better, R&R. Need you guys on the squad. $99.99. Man, pay off my student loan debt, man. Come on, pay off my credit card debt. But we appreciate you so much rocking with us every single episode. And look, we're here for you guys. Boots on the ground in the clubhouse, watching all this stuff because look, we're Dodger fanatics just like you guys. Yeah, big ups to Clint.
When we get in the clubhouse, you can see we go harder than just about any of these other mofos trying to cover this team. You get the best coverage, I feel, in the game at DodgersNation.com. And sure, I have to say that because that's how I get paid, but also, like, we've transformed this into a thing. This is a culture. This is where you want to go to get everything about your team because we don't bullshit. We don't sugarcoat it. We don't have any I don't know. We're not beholden to any of these players. We don't have any sort of relationship. We're not tied to the team in any way. We're fans that try to give you the best non-biased coverage as possible. You can be homies. You can dap up and hug on Gavin Lux, but you can also be hard on them at the same time. So that's great. So MH, Dodger for life, we appreciate you. You're a Dodgers Nation for life. Mr. Rossa Jr., 23. Let's go. $100. Read that because my voice hurts.
Okay, props to Cliff for sticking it through. Even though he sounds like Carrie from Sling Blade. Carl, is that Carl from Sling Blade? Wow, that's a nice pull right there. Go Dodgers. # family.
Family. That's awesome.
Wow.
And one more from Dodger for Life that went away. We just had it. I think I saw $19.99 for Medicine Mucinex. Yeah, I really need to get back on these things over here because my voice is tore. But I can breathe better now. All of the phlegms and other things seem to be loosening up. So hopefully by January 26, 1986, I'll be able to do voice things again.
Yeah. No, the good thing he's not sick.
The throat coat, as they say.
No, you're hanging through, man. You're doing your thing. You guys are the GOATs. That's from Noah Cameras. Who the heck is that?
No, those guys are the GOATs.
Yeah.
Man, appreciate the hell out of you guys. It's incredible. You guys are nuts. Absolutely nuts. But on that note, I guess now we have all this sweet, sweet money. We're going to go spend it on some
We're gonna
picking out.
Get him a throat transplant for tomorrow's show.
Transplant. Let's go. But that's about all we had today. Again, there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff. We're not going to be live tomorrow night, which is Friday night. We'll figure out what we're going to do live for the weekend. We're going to be out here. We're going to be out here until next Thursday, Friday, doing content. We got a lot going on, so don't worry. Plenty of Dodgers content coming your way, but stay tuned. Stay tubed. YouTube.com/Dodgers Nation TV. Hit the bell. Leave a like. All the comments that you can put on there really help us up in the algorithm. And again, this guy's got some really good interviews dropping in the next, over the next few days. DodgersNation.com for all of your latest news, rumors, hype, everything you need to know, analysis on your Los Angeles Dodgers as they try to win the 8th title in franchise history. Go to 110studio.la if you guys want to work where we usually work. We're not there this week, so you guys can rent it out and make your own podcast, and maybe you'll have a voice and it'll sound better. Our microphones are better there too than these, even though these get the job done. Hall of Fame microphones.
I have a question. What if someone wanted to rent it out to do a Dodgers podcast? Is that allowed?
I don't know.
No, that'd be
I
kind
didn't
of
read the fine print.
I just wonder. That'd be hilarious.
The answers are at 110studio.la. GearUp.la is another way to support us. And I'm going to go get myself some voice back. Bye, guys.